Welcome aboard to Mid-America Keynote speech number 39. And I can't think of a better person to deliver a message than the awesome Karen Ham.
It's a lot to live up to, isn't it? So I'm going to take the pressure off of me. What is hypnosis? You know, right? Heather, what is hypnosis? She said there are a lot of different answers to that. That's exactly right. That's why I'm asking. Rebecca, what is hypnosis?
Let's see. Hypnosis is going to a place inside where you see clarity.
Going to a place inside where you can get clarity. Isn't that beautiful? Shelley, what's hypnosis?
Hypnosis is everything, but it's a natural state of heightened awareness where you easily take on suggestions.
A natural state of heightened awareness where you can easily take on suggestions. Look at Shelley. It is a natural state, by the way. Jeffrey, what is hypnosis? Oh, he's having a hard time. I'm sorry, I'll take it all back. He knows, by the way. Linda, what's hypnosis?
Hypnosis is everything.
Hypnosis is everything. Cass, what's hypnosis? Everything. Then I'm going to make some enemies here today. All of you were right. All of you were right. Because hypnosis is BS. Hypnosis is BS, and so is NLP for that matter. Pure unadulterated BS. Belief system. What did you think I was talking about? Belief system. It's all about the belief, right? It's all about what you believe. Now, you as a hypnotist, if you believe that you should do a really long, relaxing induction, by all means do that. Because you won't be able to hypnotize them if you don't, or you won't believe that you hypnotize them if you don't. You want to believe that the hypnosis is working, right? So do what you believe. If you believe in conversational hypnosis, uptime hypnosis, do that, because that's what you believe in. With a caveat. If your client doesn't have that same belief, treat their belief. Go with their belief. So you might believe in uptime hypnosis, wide awake hypnosis, which I do, but on occasion, I get a client who really wants that, so relaxing effect. Excellent. We're going to do that. And I'm going to do all the uptime change work while we're in conversation, and then I'm going to treat him to a very nice hypnotic relaxation session with some of the suggestions they gave me to give them, right? And then we're all going to believe the same. But I also will believe that the change has already been made in the conversation, because that's the way I do it. But since my client believes in the relaxation effect, I'm going to give that to them. Because they have to believe that it worked too, right? It's all belief systems, which makes our jobs really easy. Really easy because beliefs are malleable. They change easily. A belief can change instantly. It's an old story. May not even be an exactly true story, but go with me on it. You know, when the Vikings first set sail, at that time in the world, everybody thought the world was flat. People didn't travel because they thought at the end of your sight line is where you fell off the edge. Those Vikings, man, they set sail. Everybody knew they weren't coming back. They said their goodbyes. This was foolhardy. They sailed all around the world and came back. And you know, the people believed the world was flat. So when they came back, it was a miracle. Spoiler alert. The world was just as round then as it is now. But they believed it was flat. And so those Vikings came back and they went, woohoo! Wow, it's round and don't fall off on the bottom? Cool. Apple Vacations was born and everybody set sail. Beliefs change just like that. Beliefs are easy to change. They're just beliefs. And belief is not fact. Whatever you believe is fact to you, but it doesn't make it imperial fact. And we all believe a lot of things that aren't necessarily fact, right? But beliefs change easily. And oh, by the way, I brought some notes. Because some of you who have attended my talks before realize that I can easily go off on a tangent. And I likely will today too, but I've got notes to bring me right back on track. How cool is that? So belief change is very easy. Change is easy. Oh, you know what? I'm getting some funny looks about that because humans have had a real good bonding method of talking about how hard change is. Oh, it's so hard to change. Oh my God, the time changes here, and oh, it's just so awful. And change is so hard. I can't change because change is so hard. BS. That's their belief system. They brought that BS into us. We want to help them change that BS to better BS, to a better belief system, right? But whatever your client is saying, whatever they're talking about, that is their BS. They bring it into you. When I'm working with a client, I do my very best to leave my BS outside of the office and just work with theirs. But you know what? It's always going to come in, which is also okay in hypnosis, because if you say something that they don't agree with, or you say something that doesn't necessarily work for them, they're going to just discount it anyway. Our clients do their own work in their own mind. We are not wizards, we are not magicians. Although, if someone that's attended Mike Mandel's wizard class, yes, I'll agree, you're a wizard. But I'm not a wizard. I am not a mind reader. I tell my clients, as a matter of fact, if we do eyes closed hypnosis, if I suggest that you go to a safe, restful, peaceful place, and you go into rush hour traffic, let me know, because we're not going to the same place, and I don't have the benefit of the satellite eye, nor am I a mind reader. So please, if we're not doing the same thing, let me know so that I can recalculate, recalibrate, and let's move forward. That's how we do the dance with our clients. We get their belief system, we get what they believe they want to be instead, and boy, can we help them get to that point. I don't care if we disassemble those limiting beliefs or if we move them in a different direction. But change is so simple. So when your client comes in talking about how hard change is, tell them things like this. You know, the leaves change, and they do it just spontaneously and naturally. Hey, if you drove here, did you change lanes? Oh, wow, did you change your mind? Have you ever changed an opinion? Did you change your socks? Joseph, did you change your underwear today? Absolutely. And when you ask your client, have you changed your underwear today? They, well, of course, and they laugh, and the laughter breaks the spell. The laughter opens up the subconscious mind to open ideas, to brand new ideas. Part of our job is to open our clients to a different perspective. Help them change that limiting BS into empowering BS. It's all about the belief system. What they walk out of our office believing is something different, we hope, than what they believed when they walked into our office. Will that make sense? Check in the notes. Oh, I want to share this with you because I just love this. My new definition of what hypnosis is like, not necessarily for a client, but for us. Imagine a parking lot for a moment. The parking lot starts out as a blank slate of concrete, right? And then some expert comes in, measures, looks at it, designs it to put cars on. And so they have an entrance, and they look at it, and they measure, and they design, and then they come through and they draw a bunch of suggestions on the parking lot. Usually they're yellow or white. Sometimes they are arrows, but they're suggestions of how we can all park and have enough room for everybody. Oh, it's a brilliant suggestion too. It was calculated, it was measured, it was perfectly constructed. And if everybody took the suggestion, we'd all be parking more carefully. Some people park right between the lines. They take the suggestion directly. Some people come in and they don't take the suggestion at all. That's what happens with hypnosis. We deliver a suggestion, and they either take it or they leave it. If we are in rapport with our clients, more of the suggestions will be taken. Now, I don't know how you do it. Keep in mind, however you do it is right, because it all works. Reading scripts works. Using NLP works, using relaxation hypnosis works, using uptime wide awake hypnosis works, it all works. You know what? Essential oils, crystals, all of that stuff works depending on what your client's belief system is. If they believe that you need to do something to them, talk to them and find out what they need done to them and then do it. Right? Give them what they believe is going to work. With a caveat, you don't just give them anything they might ask for in your office. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, Kaz works with a lot of erectile dysfunction techniques. She's brilliant, but what her clients ask for, she may not deliver. She's going to help them deliver the goods, right? So with a caveat, you give your clients what we all believe is going to be the best thing for them, right? So your belief system and their belief system mesh. What I'm talking about with those suggestions, some take them, some leave them. Your clients will take your suggestions if you listen. Our superpower really is listening. Because when we listen to the clients, when we understand their belief system, when we understand what they want to get rid of, what's limiting them, and what they want to empower, we're going to get that. We're going to get all the suggestions they need, and we don't have to give them advice. In fact, please don't give advice. I really wish you wouldn't give advice to your clients. They can get advice for free from their best friend. They're paying you for something better. They can get it free from their mom, which may have brought them to your office in the first place, some of her advice. So, or dad. Dad, you don't get off the hook. You do this stuff too, to your kids, right? It's not just us. People develop belief systems for all sorts of reasons, but they can get advice from someplace else. If we listen and we discover what is limiting them and what they want instead, we can help them formulate their own ideas about what might work. If I have a client who comes to me and says, I need to exercise more, I am never ever going to say, okay, here's the deal. Get up first thing in the morning, have your shoes right there by the bed, step into them, and go before you even have time to think about it. I'm never going to say that, even though it's a great suggestion. I'm not going to say that to them, because if I do, without listening to them and knowing what their life is like, they can come right back to me and say, can't do that, I've got a new baby. Got to tend to the baby first. Ooh, rapport has just diminished just a little bit. So rather than say, okay, here's how you do that, I need to exercise more. That's excellent. How might you do that? And they'll say, well, I don't know really. If I get a bunch of I don't knows, okay, it could mean that they're really, really stuck. And then I might throw out some ideas. Not formed as a suggestion. In fact, I'll often say, I'm not suggesting anything, I'm just asking. Which, by the way, is also a suggestion. But anyway, so I'll ask, what do you think might work? I say, well, I don't know, I've been a couch potato all through the pandemic. I just can't really move at all, so I don't even know where to start. Well, I wonder if, what do you do when you brush your teeth? Oh, nothing, I just stand there. I wonder if your feet could just march in place while you brush your teeth. Could you do that? I could do that. That's not exercise. Oh, do you brush your teeth at night too? Yeah. Okay, we'll do that at night too. That's twice. And if you do that in the morning and at night, one client said, I have a sonic hair. That means I have to do that for 2 minutes because it's a 2-minute. Yes! Yes! And if you do that, do you believe that while you're using that sonic hair, you could just march in place? I believe I can do that. Great. Let's do that in the morning and at night. And that's 4 times the exercise you got yesterday. Now, we're breaking down some of the beliefs. I sometimes ask my clients on that question, what do you define as exercise? What's your definition of exercise? Oh, you have to work really hard and sweat for an hour. And I look at them and go, yeah, I wouldn't do that either. So let's look at exercise in a different way. The latest research shows that the short bursts of exercise throughout the day work just as effectively as long workouts. Really? I'll be honest with you, I don't know if that's true or not, but I use it all the time. I use it all the time because it changes a belief. If they believe that it's going to be something awful and horrible, it's going to be something awful and horrible. So let's go to the other end of the spectrum and start chipping away at that limiting belief. Oh, okay, then I could do that in the morning, at night. And where else might you just march in place when you're waiting for something? Then the clients start giving me ideas. Oh, I could do it while I'm waiting for my Keurig to pour my coffee. Oh, I could do it while I'm filling up my water bottle. Oh, I could do that while I'm waiting in a grocery store line. And I said, that's right. Now where the suggestions come from? They gave them to me. I listened. I'm not a wizard. I'm not a mind reader, nor am I the answer man. I'm a woman, even though I dress like Jason Lynette today. He's not here. He's not here, and I wanted him represented, right? Or Erickson. Or Erickson. None of that's true. I just happened to go up the escalator and see it hanging there. I'm like, that's the one. So You know, our beliefs are malleable. They're fluid. I don't know if you know this about me, but before, I'm Karen Hand, by the way, I think Richard told you that. Before I was a hypnotist, I was a radio personality here in Chicago. I did that for years and years and years and years. I had no clue that what I was doing was hypnosis. I'll tell you about that in a second. But I had a couple of hypnotists on my radio show one night just to make fun of people, get them to bark like dogs and cluck like chickens and stuff like that. These two doggone hypnotists said that's not what it was all about at all. They said it was for clinical reasons and to do other things with. It can help people lose weight. It can help people change their limiting beliefs. That's what hypnosis is. I thought it was all that funny stuff. So I went out to their hypnosis center to get hypnotized, to see what it was all about. I was hypnotized. I loved it. I lost 50 pounds thanks to hypnosis. I was a really big girl back then. Thank you. And it was easy. And it was easy. And I had an epiphany right then and there. That's what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. I studied, became a hypnotist, did not renew my next radio contract, and opened up a hypnosis center instead. Now, another radio gal in town, Catherine Johns, if you're local, Catherine and I put our heads together. We were both into hypnosis at that time. She's the one who told me about the two hypnotists I had on. So she was out of radio at the moment, and we said, let's just go into business and open a center. We did. We're in a competitive business, radio, so we knew exactly what to do. Get the biggest office, get it. But we joined a franchise. Did you know there was a hypnosis franchise? I didn't either. But there was, in those days, it's closed now, but there was a hypnosis franchise, and we joined it because they gave us a business in a box. As a matter of fact, we did weight loss and smoking. We had 26 scripts for weight loss because we put our clients on 26-week or 52-week programs. We had 26 scripts. When they started week one, we read week one script to them. It was a pretty cool week one script for somebody who'd never been hypnotized. In it, it said things like, you might feel like you're floating, you might feel like you're sinking, you might feel a little bit of tingling. It was all in there, right? So we read the scripts to them. Boy, Catherine and I thought we had made it because we were the best script readers we knew. And we read these scripts to our clients, and over the course of 6 months, once a week, reading those scripts, we hit their stuff. Coincidentally, not quickly, not on purpose, but accidentally we hit all their stuff. And if they stayed for a year, they got the script twice over the course of that year, right? And we had, amazingly, about a 78% success rate. Just reading scripts. We advertised heavily. We had a full slate of clients. I employed 5 hypnotists at the time, along with Catherine and me. And we had clients all the time, over and over. It was an expensive business to run, because in Chicago, advertising is very expensive. But we had 4 other centers in town. We pooled our money, and we were generating a lot of business. And it was working quite well. By most standards, that's a good success rate. I'm worried about that 22% that wasn't getting it. And I wasn't helping them this way. So I started studying again. I went to Roy Hunter for regression. I went to Cal Banyan for regression. I went to Roy for parts work. I went all over the place. I studied Tad James and timeline. And I gotta tell you, I really think that we have a better person here doing timeline work. Okay, I'm right at that moment where I need some help. Who is gonna be my helper? Marion, were you gonna be my helper? You can say right there, I just have lost a name, and I really want it so I can say it out loud. The woman on the end of the second row, tell me her name. Carolyn Ching. Okay, it was coming to me even as I turned it over to somebody else, which, by the way, is often how we help our clients, because they turned it over to somebody else. But we're still not wizards. We are still not magic. Melissa Rankin was a doctor years and years and years ago, a primary care physician. And she was interested about why sometimes people spontaneously go into remission without any medication or anything else. So she took 2 years off from doctoring so she could study spontaneous remissions. What she discovered in that time, or she had many discoveries, but one of the real ones that had great impact for me was, as soon as one asks for help, you start to get better. She learned this from her mother. She was a doctor, right? And her mother was older, and she was having twinges and all kinds of problems. And so her mother would call her and say, I'm feeling this. And Melissa would say, Mom, call the doctor. And her doctor would take the appointment. And later in the day, Melissa would call her and say, did you make that doctor appointment? Oh, yeah. How are you feeling now? Oh, I feel so much better. I'm going to see him tomorrow. I feel so much better. Ding, 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 ding. She discovered that as soon as somebody calls and asks for help, typically, they move into the line of recovery because they turned it over to somebody else. They've got help in this adventure. Know that when your clients call you to book an appointment. I mean, some people book online. I get that. I don't. I want to know if this is a person I want to work with before I take them as a client. So I don't do consultations. I do screenings. I think words are very important. In my mind, they're screening into my services. In their mind, they're screening into my services. I want them to come to the table hungry. I'm not that great a cook, but if they're really hungry, the meal's going to taste great. Right? So if they want it, they come, and we have a great session. But they have to decide first at home. Let's go back to the origins of hypnosis for a moment. Those Greek sleep temples. We've all heard about those Greek sleep temples, right? In the olden days, in ancient Greece, they had sleep temples, and when people got, I don't know what they called the diseases then, or the uncomfortabilities or stress or whatever it was, but when they got it and decided they needed the priest to help them in the sleep temple, they took the trip to the sleep temple. They gave their clothes to the priest gave them a robe. Boy, that sounds dirty, doesn't it, in this day and age? They exchanged garments so that they were ready for the sleep temple. Anyway, then they were walked down a long hallway, or a long path, really, of chanting people and incest. And then they got to the temple. They stood in a silent hungry. Did I say incest? You know, I'm a recovering Catholic, so there you go. That tells you a lot, does it not? Okay, incense. I may not even ever be able to say that again. Incense, you know, the smelly stuff. Okay, so they've got the incense. Incense. The smelly stuff. Essential oils. You're walking past a bunch of people with fragrant essential oils. They go to the sleep temple. And yeah, okay. In the sleep temple, the priest back then, right, very serious, lay down on the slab, he said some magic words, and then said, sleep all night, and I'll be back in the morning. 9 times out of 10, that person recovered overnight. We only know about the recovery. We don't know about the ones it didn't work on, right? But for many people, it worked. That's why they kept doing it. Now, what's that like today? The movies? You're at home, you decide to go to a movie, you pick the one that you want. You go to the theater, you exchange your money for their ticket, you give your ticket to somebody, you walk past the popcorn and into a long hallway, you go into the temple of entertainment, you get your seat, you prepare yourself, anticipation, expectation, right? You prepare yourself, and then, if the director's decent, you're into it. Rainey, have you ever cried in a movie? She says yes. Scott, have you ever laughed in a movie? Oh yeah. Have you ever jumped, startled? You know, it wasn't happening to you. It was happening up there on the screen. But you placed yourself into that trance, and the moment that you were in it, that you cried, that you felt whatever was going on, you didn't remember the person sitting next to you, you didn't remember that there was a cameraman, that there was a director, you didn't remember that there was a sound crew, you didn't remember that you were in a theater, you were in it. Hypnosis. Because just as many said, hypnosis is everything. Is the McDonald's the same now that I think about it? At home you decide you're hungry, you decide on McDonald's. You go there, you exchange your money for trash. Oh, I'm sorry, for food. And you eat it, and then you go on your way. And your belief about being hungry has changed. But that's what we're working with. Beliefs. They're fluid, they're malleable. We teach it, oh my gosh, I've got 4 hypnosis students in here right now, and I'm going to say this in front of them. We teach them all these steps and all these tricks and all these ways of doing things, and then they leave our training and realize that they have to pull stuff out of thin air with their clients all the time. You've got to pivot. Now, I don't do sexual freedom as a niche. I said it Kaz's way because that's the way she likes it. I like Jason Lynette's way, niche, because it rhymes with rich. So anyway, I don't have a niche, but I've had people call me and say, I want confidence, I need confidence. Oh, come on in, we can do that. Then they get in my office and say, I couldn't say it over the phone, but it's really erectile dysfunction. Well, I can't go, I didn't call up the right script for that. Although the confidence script might work really well in that situation, but I didn't call up the right script. What's that going to do? It's going to affect my belief system. I'm going to start in my head going, oh no, I don't know what to do here. What am I going to do? Oh no, oh no, oh no. That's going to break the congruence of authenticity of who you really are and that you can help them, and things are going to fall apart. Not because you say anything wrong, not because of anything else, but because you have allowed yourself to stop believing in what you do. Our beliefs are very important. You need to believe that you can help them with whatever issue presents. Of course, if you do a niche thing, weight loss, and somebody calls you about smoking, you can say, I don't do that, let me refer you to somebody else. I'm a generalist. When I had that clinic with the hypnotist all working for me, we did weight loss and smoking cessation only, and we read scripts. Boy, was it easy, and boy, was it dull after a while. It just bored me to tears. I couldn't wait till I learned a new technique. And this is what I think made me a good hypnotist. Every technique I learned, I had a bank of clients the next day I could try it on. And I did. And sometimes I would finesse it, sometimes I would do it differently, sometimes it wouldn't work well. I would check it out and review it. And sometimes it worked great 10 times in a row, and then the 11th one, that technique didn't work. I learned I need, for me, you do it your way. I learned that I needed a full toolkit. I needed to be pivot. I needed things that I could pivot to. I play lots of games in my office or online with my clients. We play lots of games, we do lots of metaphors, we do a lot of talking, right? And if I throw out something that doesn't sit well, it's okay. I can go over here to something else. I've got all sorts of stuff. My clients don't fail. Everybody knows the element induction, right? So you say, close your eyes, relax them so much that they just won't work. Relax them so much that they just want to stay closed, or however you say it, right? Some people say test them. I say check them if I'm going to do that, because I don't want anybody to fail anything in my office. So I say check them. If my client opens their eyes at that point, I don't freak out and go, oh shit, that didn't work. I don't freak out and say, oh shoot, that didn't work. Instead, I look my clients right in the eyes and say, that's right. You've now proven to yourself that you are in complete control. You're only going to accept the suggestions that work well for you, and anything that seems silly, you're not going to do. Of course that's silly. But let's look at that for a moment. You know, the eyelids are operated by muscles. They're the tiniest muscles in the body, and they relax the quickest. Do you realize it takes tension to open them? You have to exercise those muscles to open them. So you've now proven to yourself that you're in charge. You're only going to take the suggestions that make sense. But this time, let's try it again. And I wonder if you'd be willing to use relaxation this time and relax them so much that they just stay closed. And the clients usually acquiesce, and the next time it's going to go perfectly. I'm asking you to come up with ideas, thoughts. My friend Bob Burns in Scotland says he's very scripted. It's not scripted. I mean, never has a script. But he has been doing this so long that if somebody tells him, I believe in hypnosis, he's got a response to that. If somebody tells him, I don't believe in hypnosis, he's got a response to that. If somebody's eyes stay closed, I have a response to that. It's the next thing I'm doing. If their eyes open, I have a response for that. And everything that they do is right, because it's their belief system. And I'm not going to break rapport by telling you failed. Nobody fails in my office. Everybody succeeds. I don't fail either, because I'm just throwing out suggestions. I just drew some lines on a slab of concrete. Some people are in the trance to park perfectly, and some people are in the trance if I'm in too big of a hurry to even deal with that. It's just their trance state. It's not my fault if they don't take the suggestion. It is my fault if I haven't listened to my client and discovered what will work best for them. Who's still listening here today? Okay, I got a few. Let's do something that's a little more uptime. How about that? Do you have your cell phone on you? Yes. May I borrow it? Would you open it up to your apps? your apps?
I only have a couple apps. I don't have apps on.
Okay, James, may I see yours? I'd like to see some apps. I'd really like to see a page with some apps on it. It's got it. Okay, I'll look at this for just a second. There's one on here you don't need. There's one on here that is a terrible app. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one, all right? I'm going to delete it. It's a bad app. It's dumb. You don't need that one. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. That's all right, right? Okay, good. We're deleting that. Wait a minute, there's another one on here that I don't like either. Not good for you. Can I go ahead and delete that one? Sure. And I've got a couple I want to add. Is that all right? You know why that's okay with him? Because he's good at this and he's just going to turn it back to what he wants. Anyway, you would absolutely never walk up to another human being in life and take their cell phone and start rearranging it without their permission, would you? Of course we wouldn't. That would be terrible. That would be bad etiquette. It would be stupid. It wouldn't work. It would be awful. Don't do that with your clients' minds either. Don't just randomly go in and start rearranging your clients' minds without their permission, without rearranging it in the direction they want it to go. Okay? It's their apps. Speaking of apps, I think we're a lot like cell phones, humans. You know, when you get that brand new cell phone, it's pristine. It's clear, it's clean, it's perfect. It's got a great operating system. It's got most of the stuff you could ever need. It's got email, it's got a phone, it's got a camera. But you get that phone, it's got a great operating system, and immediately you start customizing it for yourself. You download a scheduling app. You download a couple of games. You download something that you can store all your apps in, right? You customize it for yourself. You make decisions. I'm only going to put 2 apps on my phone. I came up with this metaphor. I took my phone into the Apple store. Years ago, I needed a new phone, so I took my old phone in and got the new phone and said, oh, can you transfer all this stuff over? And the genius said yes. So we went to the bar, the Genius bar, and she was about to transfer my stuff, and she said, do you know you have 80 pages of apps on here? Wow. And I went, no. She said, do you use all of these? I said, I don't know what most of them are. And she said, do you realize that all of those apps are using up battery life, using up bandwidth? They're always running in the background, ready to jump out at any time and step in, kind of like spell check or autocorrect. Sometimes it jumps out when it doesn't have any business in conversation. But those apps are there ready to jump out whenever they are programmed to jump out. If you don't delete them, if you don't upgrade them or rewrite them, you're going to get stuff running in the background, using up bandwidth, using up energy. We're just like that. In fairness, they're just like us, but I did the idea in a reverse way. When we're born with a perfectly working operating system. We can breathe, we can digest, we have a waste management system, we can startle, we can do lots of things. But instantly, the day we're born, we start customizing ourselves. Little bitty babies, if you do regression work, you've had people who are responding to something they learned in the womb, right? Or in a past life, or earlier in their life. I had a client who called me from her front porch one day. Said, do you deal with spider phobias? Absolutely, tell me about that. She said, I'm on my front porch. I came home from the grocery store, opened the door, and there was a spider dangling right inside. I slammed the door shut, called my husband, and he's on his way home from work to let me in the house to kill the spider. But while I'm sitting here waiting for him, I started scrolling for help for spider fears. And I found a hypnotist. Can you work with that? Absolutely, come on in. Boy, this was going to be fun, I thought. We did a little regression work, and she said she'd had that fear for as long as she could remember. So we went back to the first time, one of the early times, whatever it was. She said that what her memory gave her was that she was on the floor when she was about 3, and something was crawling across the floor. She leaned over to pet it, and her mom behind her screamed, "Don't touch that, it'll kill you!" She was in Texas, and it was a tarantula. She did what humans do. She generalized that information across to all spiders. And now all spiders could kill her, right? So that was when she was 3. That's when she downloaded the behavior app to get away from spiders. And when she was 3, boy, was that brilliant. She didn't have any agency. She wasn't big enough to stomp on that tarantula. There was nothing she could do but stay away from them. So she downloaded the behavior app to stay away. And it worked perfectly for her until that day that she had to call her husband home for something stupid. In her mind, that became stupid. As soon as she told me that, I knew that we were in, that we had no problem, right? But when she was there, we talked to that little girl, we did some inner child work, we gave the little girl more agency and grew her up from there. But now this woman knew that she had power over the spider and they were going to kill her. Well, I asked, even in hypnosis, I asked her, say, what might you do now? Oh, I could swat it. Oh, I could step on it. I could just hit it with a newspaper. She had all the agency she needed. She left. About 2 weeks later, I got a text from her. She said, I just got out of the shower. Thanks for letting me know. I just got out of the shower, and while I was showering, there was a spider crawling down the tile. I killed it with my bare hands, and I laughed as it went down the drain. Change made. But the only belief that we changed was that she didn't have any control over herself or her surroundings. As soon as she got control, that spider phobia was gone. So that's what we want to help our clients do. Change that limiting belief. So, my talk, bless you, is Hypnosis, the Mother of Reinvention. I was a radio gal. I did lots of appearances. I was a popular person in Chicago, and when I did appearances, people came out. They showed up. They wanted to see me. They wanted to be there. By the way, here's a little thing about hypnosis. I was on the radio. I was in a group with two guys. I was the voice of reason in the group. I was the smart one in the group. Yes, that was my sort of role. Every appearance I went to, people would walk up to me and say, oh my gosh, I thought you were tall and brunette. I used to go, you know what, some people thought I was black. I couldn't figure it out. Everybody thought I was tall and brunette, and I finally got it. Because radio is very hypnotic. They're in their car or in their home believing whatever they want to believe about the person they like, that voice that they hear on the radio. They heard a voice that resonated with them, and they created in their mind the visual. Smart, outspoken, in charge, doesn't go with blonde and short. Blondes are dumb. Everybody knows that, right? Boy, do I use that to my advantage. Go ahead. Underestimate me, right? Go ahead, underestimate me. My husband and I did a tag team once when we bought a new car. We went in, we looked around, it was for me. And then the salesman, of course, wanted to negotiate with the husband. So we talked, and I said, no, I'm not going to pay that for it. I want the car, but I'm not going to pay that for it. That's crazy. And I got really angry. I pretended I got really angry. And I stormed out of it. My husband looked at the salesman and said, can you see what I'm up against? Give me a break. The guy gave him a discount. We created male bonding, okay? That's a sneaky use of hypnosis, but we created a belief. The movies create a belief. We're always creating beliefs. And so when I was a radio gal and people wanted to see me, I then became a hypnotist. And my other radio gal and I, we'd done lots of appearances. So we did health fairs, and we did all kinds of things like that. We would get to a health fair, set up our stuff, and say it was hypnosis, and people would walk by and say, don't look them in the eyes, don't look at them, oh, don't talk to them. Whoa, that was a big change, a big blow to the ego. And it was difficult. Until I had a conversation with a guy once and said, I don't know what to do. You know, I used to be popular and now I'm nothing. And he said, are you kidding me? You're a hypnotist. You're still the most interesting person at the table at a Chamber of Commerce meeting. Oh, bing, 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 sorry. I owned it immediately. But until that moment, I was trying to do it. I was trying to be good at it, but I didn't own it. That day, I owned it and became a much better hypnotist. Because now I'm speaking my truth. Now I'm not imposing something on you, I am speaking my truth. In that center, we were doing very well, but we had other centers that closed down. It became prohibitively expensive to do that model in this marketplace. In fact, most people who do that kind of model of hypnosis do it in a smaller market where they can't afford advertising, because you need that constant flow of advertising to get people to come in. So we changed, we divorced the franchise, which was a very expensive proposition, but worth it. We divorced the franchise and became Chicago Hypnosis Center. We kept everything going, we're still generalists. And then so I reinvented myself, by the way, let me not skip that point. I reinvented myself now as a hypnotist, okay? In my own mind, in my belief system, I reinvented myself. So then my mother became ill. We had this center, it was going great. My mother became ill, and I became a full-time caregiver. But I still wanted to hypnotize people. It wasn't fair. We did it for a while with my business partner doing most of the business, and I came in a couple of hours and hypnotized people. That really wasn't working. It wasn't fair for her. So we found an escape clause in our lease, and we decided to escape, close down that business. We had people in long contracts, remember. I was stuck at home, so I said, I'll just take them in my home office. And I finished out all the contracts for all of those clients. While taking care of my mother, I could do it there because I was, close. My mother passed, and when she did, I was still seeing clients in my home and loved it. It was pretty cool. I'd go to my kitchen and make something to eat. I could walk around the block in the middle of, between clients. I could do other projects, right? So I loved it. I reinvented myself as a home office hypnotist, and it was working perfectly. I went to New York for the first HypnoBiz that Selena Dorsey threw, and I was about to tell the entire audience that I had a home office and how successful that was. Richard Nongard spoke just before me. He had a video presentation that he did. In that video presentation, he said, you can't be a home hypnotist. It doesn't sell well. It doesn't work. People don't think that that's good. They don't want to come to your home. And besides, a hypnotist should have flaunted views, and you probably will not have the best house in the neighborhood, so it may be a negative. It might be a negative to the suggestion. Well, I spoke right after him and said, thank God I didn't hear that rule before I did this. If I'd known the rule, I might have followed it. Back in radio, when I started, I'm from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. That's where I started my radio career, because that was my hometown. So I went to a local radio station, applied, and was hired. I didn't know until years later that you're not supposed to do it that way, that you're really supposed to go to a small town and start first and then work up. Thank God I didn't know that rule. I also wanted to go to Los Angeles. That's where I always wanted to live. At that time in my life, Los Angeles was the #3 market in the nation. I sent all of my tapes to Los Angeles because that's where I wanted to be. And a program director in Los Angeles called me and said, I have a full staff, but you're great. Do you mind if I forward your tape to somebody else? I said, absolutely, do it. A program director at WLS in Chicago called me and gave me a job. At that time, Chicago was the #2 market, so it was bigger than what I was going for. And it was the biggest radio station in the entire country. And I was hired for it. That was my second job. And I came to Chicago. A few years later, I learned that you're not supposed to do it that way. You're supposed to go from Oklahoma City to, say, St. Louis, and then to Dallas, and then... Thank God I didn't know that rule. I'd have lived by it. So I invented myself as an iconoclast. I'm not a rule follower. I hope you don't know my car, but if you do, you might notice that it doesn't always park between the lines. I don't always take the parking suggestions, I'll admit that to you. But it's because I'm a radical, right? So I reinvented myself to a radio star, and a big market radio star, that I had to reinvent myself as a hypnotist. And then I had to reinvent myself as a home hypnotist. And that day, after I followed Richard Nongard in a speech, I discovered that my authenticity is mine. I do it this way. I'm a success this way. I can tell you how I do it, but you don't have my personality. You don't have my financial situation. I've got plenty of clients. I don't need to take the ones I don't want to work with. There was a time I did, and I took every client I could get, and I threw suggestions at them all day long. I cooked spaghetti with every single one of them. They were the spaghetti. It just cooked and cooked and cooked, and when I thought we were done, I'd pull out a strand and throw it at the wall. If it didn't stick, I didn't get mad at the client, I just kept cooking. And I'd throw another strand out until something stuck, and then we were done. Here we go. So I'm not suggesting that you do it that way. I'm suggesting that that's the way I do it. And if you don't have that kind of flexibility, if you don't have that kind of ability to be fast on your feet, don't do it my way. Do it your way, because your way is going to work for you. When I was afraid of being a hypnotist, they didn't want to look at me because there was no congruence. There was no calm in me. I did get a magnet to put on my car at one point to advertise carrying hand hypnosis. Yeah, I didn't keep it on my car very long because hypnosis usually is seen as relaxing and calm and that kind of thing, and I flip people off. So I recognized it wasn't a good thing for me to have on my car. That destroyed the suggestions. So I took the magnet off and had to reinvent myself in another way. You know, when I was first a baby hypnotist and I had my business card and I had this miracle stuff that we do, I went up to a group of smokers. Back then, this was in 2005, and people smoked. They didn't smoke inside, but they smoked. And they smoked outside in little groups. I went up to a group with my business cards and I handed them out. I said, I know how to help you quit that. That's the kind of look they gave me. I threw my business card in the garbage and kept smoking. I walked away kind of rejected. Okay. I'm a hard study sometimes. I did it again. I went up to another group of smokers a different time and handed them my business card, and I got the exact same response, and it took that time for the light bulb to go off to reinvent myself as a marketer online. I didn't know how to do that, but I learned, because that's the day I realized I can't make these people want to quit smoking. But I do want to be readily available when they are in the I want to quit smoking trance. The moment they go into that trance and go looking, I want to be available for them. I put a video on my website, my homepage, on lots of pages. I put different videos because I want them to know me before they call me. I want them to know who I am. I want them to super select themselves into what I offer. And so they get to know me right there in the video. You know what? People who look at that and hate a blonde or hate a fast-talking woman or hate something like that, they're not my clients. They're not my business. It is none of my business. It's none of my business to know the people who flip on past. I don't ever have to know them. I don't have to encounter them. But the people then who call me for an appointment have super selected themselves into my style and into what I do. And so I know they're going to have some success in that vein. Remember, it took a couple of times for me to learn how to reinvent myself as a successful hypnotist. First, I had to own it. I had to market it. And I had to know what hypnosis is. Hypnosis is everything. At my local CVS pharmacy, there is a counter where you pick up your medications, and they also have sundries. They also have makeup and food and all sorts of things. At the pharmacy counter, pre-pandemic, the arrangement's changed a little bit since the pandemic, but pre-pandemic, right around the pharmacy counter, I use this for my students all the time. I have a graphic of it, where there's the pharmacy counter, there's dark gray carpeting all throughout the store. Well, different colored carpeting actually in the rest of the store, but around the pharmacy it's dark gray carpeting. And then, about 2 feet, 2.5 feet away from the pharmacy counter, there are 2 light gray squares of carpet. Now, if you are in the makeup trance, if you're in there just going to get makeup, you never even see that. If you're in the pharmacy trance, pick up a medication, you probably don't see it either, but you go there and you stand. Because that suggestion, that nonverbal suggestion, registers with the trance that you're in. It's amazing to me. I stood there for an hour one day in CVS watching people. Almost everybody squared up. If a carpet square can give a suggestion, so can you. It ain't that hard. So let's relax into it. That's the easy part. Giving a suggestion is the easy part. Not giving advice sometimes can be hard. Giving a suggestion is easy. It is really easy when you listen. Your clients will tell you everything they don't want, everything they do want, and you get to capitalize on that. So we are always facilitating reinvention. We are always reinventing ourselves. Who you were yesterday is immaterial to who you are today. Who you are today may feed into who you are tomorrow, but tomorrow you're likely to be very different. When our clients come in, if we are authentic, the congruence will be there. We will be congruent with what we believe and what we tell them. And if we are not, they will read it, whether they're a hypnotist or not. Before any of you became hypnotists, you were able to tell if mom or dad or a good friend came walking toward you and they were in a bad mood. They didn't have to say a word. We all read people. It's the most natural thing we do. Most people, unfortunately, are not trained. That little girl's mother who screamed, "Get away, that can kill you," was not a trained hypnotist, but she did give a suggestion. A post-hypnotic suggestion that stayed with that woman for 40-some years. From a non-trained hypnotist? People are throwing out suggestions all the time, and thank God they are, because that's what brings clients to our office. Right? The untrained ones are helping us get business. But we are trained. And we should be trained in the art of dancing with our client and listening to their beliefs, giving them our authentic selves in congruence. That's what hypnosis is. It's that space between the client and you, that space. That's the hypnosis. And they take it or they leave it. So, my time is just about up, but I'd love to leave you with a story. It's a story that I love. I learned this from Will Horton, and I tell it often. In fact, my students who are here, you may hear it again. Or I'll come up with a different one, who knows. But there was a man who was looking for the greatest guru in the world. He searched high and low for the greatest guru in the world, and finally, he found her. Now, she was quite a distance away, but he trekked to the guru's hut. And he got there, and there was the guru just sitting on a little cushion, waiting. He walked in and sat down, and the guru looked at him and smiled. She looked at him and smiled. And then the sun set, and she picked up her cushion, and she walked out, and he went, wait. I've come a long way to find out my purpose, to find out the meaning in this life, and you're just going to look at me and smile and walk away? And she said, yes. Spell guru for me. Go ahead, spell guru for me. Say, spell it again, everybody.
G-U-R-U.
G. You are you. Now go be the best you that you can be.